You are listening to Hillary Topper on Air.
Are you feeling the weight of high property taxes in Nassau County? You're not alone. I'm Hillary Topper, and welcome to Hillary Topper on Air. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that affects so many Long Islanders, the assessment grievance process. Joining me today is Jeff Gold, a partner at the Gold Law Firm PC, to help us understand how to challenge property tax assessments and potentially save thousands of dollars. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Hillary. How are you?
Good. So just tell us a little bit about your background and the Gold Law Firm.
Well, I've been in practice now for 30 years. The Gold Law Firm is 5 years old. We're 12 attorneys, several of which practice in the tax certiorari field or grieving assessment. I'm a former member of the Nassau County Board of Assessors. I'm a former commissioner of the Assessment Review Commission in Nassau County. I have personally filed over multiple thousand grievances. And I've taught through my Facebook group, Nassau Grieve Your Tax Assessment Free, tens of thousands of people how to grieve their assessment for free.
So Long Island has incredibly high property taxes, especially here in Nassau County. So why do we pay so much more than our fair share? And how does the Gold Law Firm assist homeowners in challenging property tax assessments?
Well, Nassau taxes are high for a lot of reasons. I mean, if you look at your bill, 70% of it is school taxes, and attempts to lower that just haven't worked. There's no interest in consolidating districts. And even if there were, people wouldn't agree to consolidate districts with the districts that need help. You know, for example, Hempstead, they speak 30 different languages, and they have a number of English is special language. English teachers that as a second language. They that's districts not who's going to grab it and have the extra expense. So they're just not going to consolidate districts. We also have very lucrative contracts. Teachers are paid well. They have to live here. They're paid well. Administrators are paid well. No district is reducing its assessment. It's tax levy, interest, things like insurance go up every year. Then you look at the town. The town is a bloated workforce, a lot of family members and friends in it, in the towns. No interest in ever lowering that because people keep electing the same people back, and it's just not going to change. Then you look at the other elements like the county. Well, the county's budget is largely fixed. I mean, the police are 25% of the workforce, 25% of the budget. We have a tremendous police force. We're the safest large county in the world. Or in the country, and we want it that way. And so we are willing to pay our police that. But that's 25% of your county tax bill goes to law enforcement. Another 25% goes to taking care of the poor. And with the insurance for the poor and the medical treatment. And we can't, it's there by contract. We can't adjust it lower. So to some extent, the county executive's hands are tied, lowering the amount you pay. So what we look to do at the Gold Law Firm is to make sure you only pay your fair share. What you're supposed to pay is based of your property taxes based upon the value of your home. And when I say that, it's the fair market value of your home. what fair market value means is that, what a willing buyer is willing to pay to a willing seller without any discounts, because they're not friends, they're not family, they don't know each other. So it's what we see on multiple listing service, and what is someone willing to pay? And anyone looking for a house in Nassau County knows that number is a lot. The average house in Nassau County, and that's the average house, is now over $600,000 a year. Unfortunately, the county, who has the obligation to provide a fair tax roll based upon proper valuations of people's homes, has completely given up that job and has frozen its rolls for 4 years. Now, if you freeze your rolls at 2020 levels, but each year, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and now 2025, values are going up 6 to 10% a year, the rolls become inaccurate and you can't defend them. So the vast majority of people that file tax grievance, assessment grievances, are going to see reductions, and the tax rates are going up. And to explain that, just think about if your school district was 4 houses, and though that the district needed to raise $1 million to educate all the students living in those 4 houses, and only 3 of those 4 houses filed grievances. Okay, and they got reductions. Now there's less property value paying into the district. So the school district, to raise that same $1 million, has to raise the tax rates. Now the houses that got the reductions, they're going to see an increased tax rate, but their assessed value is also lower.
Wow.
So that could set off the increased rate. The house that never filed the grievance, they're still paying their full value of what their assessed value, but they're also paying a higher tax rate.
Wow.
Not getting a reduction. So obviously that's very simplified. But what happens is, in some districts, and I know, Hillary, you and I live in one of those, 50 to 75% of the people file grievances every year. 80% of those people get reductions. So what happens to the people that don't get reductions? They see their values stay the same, but they also pay a higher tax rate. And as a result, they're, over the course of, it's not bad after 1 year, but if they don't grieve for 4 years, they end up paying a much bigger share of the tax pie than they should. So it's we see it a lot with seniors who get enhanced star and senior exemptions, and they don't grieve their assessments because they're not paying a lot. But then when they pass or they move, the house is assessed, is paying $5,000-$10,000 more than the house next door that is grieved every year. You also see it a lot with bank-owned properties where the banks don't file grievances. And you see it a lot with, new people who move into the homes, don't realize that in Nassau, because it's so incompetent, that they have to grieve every year. And if they don't grieve every year, they're going to end up paying a disproportionate share of their assessment of their taxes.
What's the percentage of people who do grieve?
Well, it depends on how many homes are actually in Nassau County. I previously was told the number was 350, but the county is reporting closer to 450 on their assessment review on the website. So if it's really 450, then it's almost half. If it's 350, which is what I've always been told, then 2/3 of all homes are grieving every year. And that shifts the burden to those other homes.
Wow. So for somebody who never filed an assessment grievance before, can you talk about the process?
Well,
Is it difficult?
It's ridiculously easy. The county has a website. It's called Assessment Review on the Web, Arrow for short. You Google County Arrow, AROW, and it takes you to the site. You register, name, address, password. Takes 2 minutes. You then go to file a grievance. You put in your home. You make sure all of the property values and the size is correct. The picture of your property is correct. The number of bathrooms are correct. The size, the lot size. Once you verify that, you click on a button. It brings you up to all the sales in your neighborhood that are similar homes. And you choose the ones you want, and it comes up with a value for your home, that what comparable homes have sold for. Now there are some tricks, and in my Facebook page, Nassau Grieve Your Tax Assessment Free, which now has 39,000 members, we teach you those tricks. We teach you how to file a really good grievance, and tens of thousands of people following my advice get reductions every year.
Wow.
But some people don't trust themselves. So 7 or 8 years ago, I started a flat rate grievance service where I charged, we have different levels of service, but the basic service is what most people choose, and that's $250 flat rate. We file the grievance for you. We choose your comparables. We use whatever tricks we do use to lower your assessment, to provide a really good assessment. Sometimes we, because the county website is out of date with comparables, we go and we find much better sales than you'd be able to find on your own. And we file a grievance. And again, you then get your results from the county. And if you don't like those results, you can seek a second review. But the vast majority of our clients do get reductions, and the vast majority of the Facebook group do get reductions. Now, you can hire my firm. It's jeffgoldflatrategrievances.com. And take you 5 minutes to fill out the form. You can call my office, 516-512-6333. And my assistants will take your information, and you will have a personalized grievance filed for $250. Or if you open up your mail today or tomorrow or virtually any day during the grievance period, you will receive a notice from a contingent grievance firm. And what they do is they file your tax assessment grievance for you. And if they don't succeed, you don't pay anything. But as I've said, the vast majority of people do succeed. And these contingent firms will take anywhere from a third to a half of your savings. And whereas most of you have mortgages and you see your savings over a 12-month period as a reduced assessed value, a reduced mortgage value, they require a payment up front. So you get a reduced amount in your mortgage, assuming that correct, they're successful, but you have to come up with a payment up front. Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, there are times that a contingent firm actually makes sense. You've grieved many times, you've gotten many reductions, you think your assessed value is essentially fair. You don't really have a way of knowing that, but you think it's a fair assessment. You don't think you're going to get a big reduction. A contingent firm makes sense. My firm makes sense if you're just purchased your home, if you're sure you're way over assessed, if you think you're going to get a big reduction. Now, you're paying me win or lose. And that's, I'm doing the work. If you get a reduction of more than $500, which is roughly 20 to 30 points on your assessed value, depending on your school district, you're coming out way ahead using a flat rate firm, or of course doing it yourself. You know, we've had people, I just looked at one of my clients yesterday. They paid us $250. They saved 488 points on their assessment, and that's going to save
Wow.
them well over $10,000 this year. If
Wow.
they had gone, yeah, but it's a high value household. You know, if they had gone to a, you know, grievance firm in, you know, the charge of contingency, they would have paid thousands instead of 250. I also looked at one of my clients yesterday who lived in Wantagh. You know, his house was assessed at 574. It's now assessed for under 500. He paid us $250. He's going to save about $2,000. That's on a normal house. You know, past success doesn't guarantee you're going to succeed, but you know, there is a track record of getting people big reductions. One of our clients who bought a house, we realized he was overassessed, paid 250, got a 25% reduction on his assessment this year, or on next year's assessment. It's going to save him $5,000. And you know, it was $1.2 million house. It was, in today's market, it was not a ridiculously huge valuation. Problem is, you can't look at your assessed value and determine if you're overassessed or not, because your assessed value is a lie the county executive tells you. If you look at your assessed value, let's say, for example, your house is assessed at 400, and you're like, oh, I would never sell my house for 400. My house is worth 500. Well, guess what? You're overassessed, because that 400 at the county standards, let me just pull up a calculator here for a second just to make sure I've got my numbers right. But sorry, last year the county used an 0.0066 level of assessment at ARC, the Assessment Review Commission. That's where we submit your grievance to. But the Department of Assessment, also under the control of the same county executive, when it would send out your assessment notice in early January, is saying you're assessed at 0.0010. But that's a lie. You're really, once you file with ARC, you should be assessed at 0.0066. So what happens is we look at, you know, that 400 assessed value, and at 0.0066, I'm sorry, you know, the zeros don't matter much as long as you can make the equation. And I actually translated into a number, is actually a $606,000 valuation. So if your assessed value is 400, and you can't sell your house for 600, you're overassessed. And so a lot of times what we do, and I'd say we get a very high percentage of new buyers, you know, reductions, because they're paying more than, they see a low assessment. Their realtor tells them their assessment's low, but they're still paying less than what the county is valuing the property at. Now, I don't have an exact number yet. Nobody really does, but it wouldn't surprise me if next year the county's using something around 0.0060. So the rolls are going to be 40% off. And at that, yeah, okay. I mean, I think we'd be looking at that 400 assessment being closer to like, oh, I don't know. I don't have it exact. I really don't have the exact number yet, but certainly something like 640, maybe even 650, 660, something in that range. In my group, we bring up properties all the time. We show you properties, we show you what they sold for and what they're assessed for, and we see just how inaccurate it is. And we answer questions. We answer 10, 20,000 questions a year. And some of them are simple, some of them we've answered 30 or 40 times. But I encourage your listeners to join Nassau Grieve Tax Assessment free. There's no commitment. They don't have to hire my firm. They can file on their own. We encourage people to file on their own, but we're there if they don't.
Is this a large part of your business, the
No,
grievance process? No? Can
no.
you tell us a little bit about what else you do?
Well, the bulk of our firm is litigation. We help individuals who have business disputes, who are people who are injured. We do represent a number of large corporations. We used to do wills and estates, but we don't do that anymore. Just there are people who do that day in and day out. But if you need an attorney, I'm happy to help you find one. We used to do more different, more varied litigation. But as I'm getting older, I like to stick in my lane.
I
We
hear
do a
you.
lot of, and we also do a lot of large collection cases. You get a judgment, we have really good success at collecting them. We also have an attorney who does Social Security disability. So if you're looking to go out on disability, he's very strong in that. He used to head the Queen's office.
Mm.
So, we're a varied Long Island practice, but 2 or 3 months a year, we do a lot of tax grievance work.
And you
Tax
said,
assessment grievance work. People in my group are going furious because, what we're trying to tell people is you don't grieve your taxes, you grieve your assessment.
right.
All you have really control over is your assessed value. Then there are people that, get different exemptions, and, two homes should be assessed, two identical homes in the same neighborhood should be assessed at the same, but they're not. But it's very possible that depending on the financials or who's living in the house, somebody in a much bigger house could be paying less in taxes. Maybe they have the fireman exemption. Maybe they have a disabled vet exemption. Maybe they have low income senior exemption. Those exemptions lower their taxes. But you have control over challenging your grievance to lower your assessment. And I encourage people to do it. I'll teach you how to do it for free.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everybody to go to Jeff's Facebook page. Say the name again of the page.
Nassau, Grieve your tax assessment free.
Terrific.
Okay,
And
we have 40,000. We're closing in on 40,000 members.
wow, that's amazing. And
You know,
also, yeah, just tell our listeners again how to get in touch with you and learn more about the firm.
I think the first time I did a podcast with you, Hillary, it was only like 18,000 members. So we've doubled in the past 5 years.
That's amazing.
So let's see. The easiest way to get in touch is just go to Jeff Gold flatrategrievances.com and you sign up. It takes a few minutes. Or you can call my office 516-512-6333. Or you can go to Jeff, our Facebook page, Nassau Grieve your tax assessment free, and you can post any questions you have. We're happy to help. I'll also be doing some seminars this year for some of the legislators. We don't have dates set yet, but we'll be doing seminars. We'll also be doing some for some of the local community groups.
That's awesome. Well, keep us posted on those and we'll give you a shout out on our pages as well. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate your time and on being on the show.